Katie, can you talk to us a little bit about your recent trip to D.C. and taking the children, to the city museum and spending time with them?
Yeah, it was an incredible experience for all of us. We celebrated our championship the perfect way, and to have kids from my neighborhood was a great experience. So just want to thank the Warriors organization for giving me that, presenting that to us, and I'm glad the kids from my neighborhood enjoyed it.
You talk about kids in your neighborhood. Talk about the college track program and really the importance of giving back to their community and the youth.
Well, it's always about giving back and sharing your experiences with others, and especially where I come from, I know how tough it is to kind of figure out what you want to do in life. So I just want to kind of kickstart their minds a little bit, and I had so much support along the way. So I had a dream, and a lot of people made it become a reality.
We're out here in Atlanta right now. I know some people look at it as being one of the music capitals of the world. I know back in the day, early in your career, you used to make beats, making beats and the likes of that. Are you still doing that? Is that something you do in your off time, or did you hop in the booth while you were out here?
No, I didn't get in the studio while I was here, but it's definitely a hobby of mine. I think we all have a creative side of us, and sometimes you need to, let that stuff come out. So yeah, I do it for me more than anything.
Clay has talked about wanting to potentially win out, win the rest of your regular season games. Is that a goal for you? Is that something you'd like to see?
I didn't think about it, but obviously we want to win every game we play. So yeah, that would be cool. That's not like a goal we're trying to set. It's just let's see if we can win out. I mean, obviously we want to just play good basketball, and whatever happens, after that it happens. But every team's goal is to win every single game. Well, not every team, because but our goal is to win every game we can and play as hard as we can and get better every game.
With that said, what do you kind of think about the tanking phenomenon across the league? Now they're saying about 8 out of 30 teams are basically wanting to.
I just think that's more so the front office and the business side of things. I don't think the players are going out there and trying to lose. But, obviously if your GM's telling your coaches who to play and you're bringing a lot of D-League guys up, obviously you want to try to get that pick. And I understand that, you know what I'm saying? You want to try to get the best player you can for the future. But I think the players on the court more so than anything, they respect the game and respect, the flow of the game, and they want to win. But, GM and the owner, obviously, they're not playing, so they want to try to do his best for business down the line. So I get it.
Do you think there should be any kind of reform so there isn't that kind of conflicting agendas with the different parties?
No. I'm sure it's been going on for a while, but it's more publicized nowadays. But does it matter, to be honest? I mean, it's not. You still got great teams, and you're always going to have bad teams and, middle of the pack teams. That's just how it is. But I think the players are still going out and trying to win basketball games. Like, this Atlanta team, record-wise, is not the best in the league, but they're going to come out and play extremely hard. And no matter who they have on the floor, they're going to play inspired basketball. So that's the only thing that matters to me. The front office is going to make their decisions.
With all the teams beefing up in the West, you look at your continuity, do you think that will stand out with y'all, will set y'all apart?
You can say that. Yeah, I think our chemistry, continuity is definitely underrated in this league. But, we got smart players. You could put a lot of guys together and on the fly, and they can go out there and know how to make it work. So, we just gotta play good ball every single possession. That's the challenge for us. And we're looking forward to, trying to go and repeat.
Katie, I gotta ask you, there's been highlights of the Warriors last few days. You had a nice crossover in Washington, James Harden crossover. LeBron did like a behind the back and actually went between his teammates' legs. Which one of those kind of stand out to you as far as the real difference?
They're all different and unique, and just we're playing a sport, but it's an art form, and a lot of those guys express themselves through how they play, and it's pretty incredible to see. Not just, the highlights that you see, the last few days, but around the league, there's so many guys that express themselves through how they play. So it's the beauty of our game, and hopefully people start to look at it as an art form.
Katie, LeBron called the NCAA corrupt with all the shady recruiting practices that are coming to light. You played a year at Texas. In your mind, is the recruiting process broken, and can it be fixed?
No, it can't be fixed. It is broken. Don't just let these kids go to the league if they want. I'm sure most of these kids who are spending money on going to want to play they're going to go from high school to the league. So it is what it is. Sometimes the stuff is a little too deep to fix, by small changes. So you might have to just make a huge move to fix it. But I don't know how you're supposed to.
The McDonald's All-American game is actually going to be held here in Phillips Arena a couple weeks from now. As a former McDonald's All-American, what does that mean to be like in the house where you're playing?
Oh man, it's first off, it's an incredible honor to be a McDonald's All-American. I think kids should be proud of that. To be recognized as one of the top kids in the country. It's a lot of basketball players in the country at that level, and to be recognized as one of the few great ones at the high school level is incredible. And they're going to show up and show out here in Atlanta. So hopefully they come and support the young basketball players and send them off to college in the right way.
Last one Andre brings to the table. Do you think media and everyone's kind of made too much of his shooting struggles?
Yep. Yeah, analytics is a huge thing. A lot of people don't want to watch games because it's easier to just follow analytics after the game. So, there's a lot of, so if you don't really watch Andre, you don't really appreciate what he brings. But it's not just Andre. It's just it's a lot of players in the league that I think a lot of people underrate or don't appreciate because they're only looking at the analytics. So I mean to say there's a lot of culture vultures when it comes to this game. So you just need to start watching these guys to appreciate what they do.
Fun for the game notes. Warriors are 8-0 in games where JaVale McGee starts. It's been starting after the break as well. I know you get this question because he's such an intriguing guy, but what does he bring in that role when he starts?
Well, he's so athletic and fast that inevitably it seems like we get a couple big plays early. It might be a block shot like the other night on Saturansky that led to a dunk, or maybe it's a putback dunk or him catching a lob. And so that kind of energy and athleticism early, I think, has helped us get off to better starts. But it's really our overall team focus since the break that has improved. And I'm just happy that our guys are really dialing it in.
Coach, what do you think about the Atlanta Hawks? I know our new GM, Travis, actually came from Golden State. So what do you think of the transition that they're going through in his first year?
Well, Travis has a tough job ahead of him, obviously, having to rebuild. And this team has been very successful over the last decade. But it was just time. It was time to start fresh. And he knew that. And he's taking on the challenge. And it's not an easy process to go through. But you have to draft well, and you've got to sign the right free agents and manage your cap. And those are all things Travis has helped helped with in Golden State, and one of the reasons that we're in the position we are now is because he went through that process with Bob Myers and played a big role in it.
Coach, if you're in this road trip, what are some things that you learned on and off the court about your guys, in the second half of the season?
I don't know that I've learned anything new because we've been together for years now, and I'm very confident in our group. And I think that the main thing right now is that we're just picking up the pace a little bit. We're heading into the final 20 games of the year, and our guys sense that, and I think they're playing with better energy from the beginning of the game.
Coach, in these final 20 games, how important will it be to get first in the West home court advantage?
I'm not focused on it. I'm focused on our team and our play, and if we can shore up the things that I think we've been lacking on, then I think we're going to continue to get better and hopefully stay healthy and roll into the playoffs in a good way, whether we're the 1 seed or the 2 seed.
Steve, obviously, last week made Andre's shooting woes this season, but I think the fact that he doesn't worry too much about his offense is part of what makes him special.
Yeah, I don't worry too much about it. I think everybody else wants to focus on it, but Andre does so much for us. He's our point forward. He gets us organized. He always has one of the best assist-to-turnover ratios in the league. He's brilliant defensively. Biggest thing with Andre is that he's really healthy right now, and he's feeling good. He's bouncy, got a lot of energy. What's happened in the first 62 games means nothing. The only thing that matters for a guy in Andre's shoes at this stage of his career is peaking at the right time, feeling good, feeling healthy, and I think all of those things are really positive right now.
As much as anyone you've been around as a player, does he have an awareness of what he needs physically at what times, like how to be in tune at the right time?
Yeah, he's a very smart veteran player. We got a lot of guys like that: Sean Livingston, David West, Zaza. They're all wise because of their experience in the league, and their understanding of the marathon that the NBA season is, and the importance of taking care of your body, eating right, knowing what day to lift, what day to take off completely, what day to get extra shots. And it's a hard thing to figure out as a young player, but when you've been in the league for a while, you get the feel for it, and you get the sense for your own body and what you need. And Andre is on top of all those things. I haven't watched him a lot, to be honest with you. I mean, they're in the East, and so we don't see them. So I've watched him tape just to prepare for this game. Schroeder is a really tough point guard. He's quick. He's hard to contain. Collins is a really nice young player. They're obviously going to be building through the draft and trying to develop players. Dedmon has had a nice year. And they're always well coached. I know Mike from my days playing for him in San Antonio, and they run really innovative stuff, and they move the ball. And so it's a young team that's building a foundation, and it'll be fun tonight to go up against them.
What's your relationship with Travis? Is he the right guy for Atlanta, and how confident he can turn Atlanta around?
I think Travis is the right guy. I mean, he's been a little bit of everything in this league. He was an assistant coach in Miami. He's worn a lot of hats, so he understands the league from a lot of different levels. And he was in Golden State when the Warriors weren't very good, so he helped the whole process through the draft, through free agency, building the team, getting the cap right. So he knows how this works. There's a lot of luck involved in this business, but you also have to make some of your own luck. And I think Travis will be very good in terms of putting the team in position to succeed. And then, you sort of play it out and see what happens.
Sorry, how often do you feel like the success you guys have had, that occasionally do you have to rein things in? Or how do you go about doing that? Whether it's passing or something that just looks like the days of the league in terms of...
It's mainly just focusing on where we can get better, things we need to shore up. Didn't need to do as much of that the first couple years of this run, because I think there was a general level of excitement every single night. And now that we're in year 4, at least in trying to get back to the finals, I think this year there's been a little bit more sort of lethargy that creeps in occasionally, where we're either not boxing out or not rotating to a shooter. And so my job is really to point that stuff out and try to keep the guys on track to make sure we're staying solid with our fundamentals.
How difficult is it with Draymond being so passionate and playing with fire? Now the referees are calling questionable technical fouls. How difficult is it to manage him?
It's actually not difficult at all, because I want that fire. I want that competitiveness. We'd really have a problem if he wasn't competitive and he didn't yell at the refs. We need that. And so I don't mind him getting technicals. He seems to play at his best when he's emotional. And I always trust him to know where to draw the line. And I think he does a pretty good job of that. And he's proven that. He's been an all-star, defensive player of the year. We've won championships. Draymond just needs to be Draymond. Not really. I mean, a little bit, but I don't map it out or anything like that.
It breaks pretty well. Like, I remember last year you had a ton at home, like now you face the playoff teams. I think this is your last. I think you played Pacers.
Yeah, Pacers, just a one-gamer, right?
Yeah.
Is that our last East Coast?
Yeah, that's your last East Coast. I mean, how much do you like that lead up to the playoffs? It seems like pretty cushion.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not locked in on it at all. I'm just focused on what we need to do better as a team, and those are easy to see on tape. Boxing out, I mentioned the other night, and trying to win the possession battle, taking care of the ball. Those are the things I'm locked in on, and the schedule always kind of takes care of itself. There are fewer bunches of games like last year where you kind of had to look and go, oh man, we got to get through that stretch, and once we do, we'll be okay. This year, it just seems like everything is just sort of laid out. Game day off, get your rest, get some practice in. But I don't pay too close attention to who we're playing.
Jordan's obviously young, but what sort of things did you notice him doing when he was out? Like once he was able to do things that kind of helped him, overcome the rustiness once he actually played.
Well, he was just working. He was just getting the court work in that he needed, and he's doing his work with the training staff. And then he started getting some basketball court work in, and so thank you. It's all just basic stuff. Same thing everybody does when they're out.
Yeah. How about the idea of that he was able to watch the game from a different vantage point on the bench?
I would ask him. If he saw anything different or if he learned anything from that. I know our veteran guys talk to him a lot, Draymond and David West, and they try to lead him through stuff. I think that can be helpful, but there's nothing like playing. You got to be out on the floor, and you can see that right now. He's a little rusty. And needs to get his timing and his rhythm.
Coach, this is Kevin Durant's first time actually coming to Atlanta in a Warriors uniform. He was hurt when you guys made the trip last year. Can you talk to me about the defensive changes you've seen in Durant this year? Is that something that he's took upon himself, or has that been coaching from you guys and the staff?
That's just Kevin. I mean, he's one of the best two-way players in the league. He's obviously an amazing scorer, but defensively he does so much for us with his length and his shot blocking and his ability to guard the ball. He can guard all 5 positions now, the way the game is played, and so he's a huge part of our defense.
Coach, March kicks off Women's History Month. Can you share with us some women that have inspired you, or either around the league, personally, or in the WNBA?
Doris Burke. I was in broadcasting for 8 years, and I've gotten to know Doris pretty well over the last few years as a coach because she's doing a lot of our games. And she has been incredibly inspiring because she's taken on a man's world and conquered it. She's one of the very best analysts that we have in the NBA. And think about the odds of that happening as a woman. It's an incredible feat, and she is such an inspiring, just conscientious, thoughtful human being who knows the game, who loves the game, but is very modest and humble. I'm a big fan of Doris. Drake and I both.
When you took this job, whether it's Steph's range or the fact that the team plays with so much of a flair, some people I think have added since you came on, are there things that when you look at film, that you were saying that you don't feel like you have to rein in too much, but what sorts of things are there things that as a coach that you look at first you would maybe think to kind of tweak as a coach, but because it's this team and because they've been so successful, you're reluctant?
Yeah, when I first got here, I thought Steph was crazy with his shot selection. And every instinct I had was, what are you doing? Like, let's, because the whole point in basketball is to get a great shot.
Right.
He was taking these shots that were not great shots for anybody else on earth. And I quickly realized they were actually great shots for him and for us. He'd shoot this fadeaway 28-footer off the dribble. Like, in your mind, you're going, what is that, about a 10% shot? And then you look at the stats and you're like, oh, wait, that's a 40% shot for Steph Curry. And it brings the house down and our bench is going crazy. So I had to learn to accept the fact that what is a horrible shot for somebody else is actually a good shot for Steph and for us. And I had to pull back a little bit.
Does the passing stuff work that way too? You've got so many guys, we're mentioning Trey and kind of the assist to turnover. They obviously go behind their back a lot. They throw a lot of alley-oops that sometimes don't always get out. Is that the sort of thing that just works out often enough to where you don't have to really say anything? No, that's the one that I have to stay on the guys about. I talk about hitting singles all the time instead of home runs. And, we lead the league in assist to turnover ratio, but it's a confusing stat because we're also like 27th in turnovers. And we just get so many assists because of our pace and the guys passing the ball and sharing it so well. So I don't mind the turnovers that are maybe trying to make the extra pass or something, but it's the ones that are out of motion and that don't stand much of a chance to get through that bother me, because if we just keep hitting singles on this team, we've got so many playmakers and shooters that it's all going to come out in the wash, pretty positive light.